Welcome to this tutorial brought to you by River City Graphics. Today we'll be continuing with our contact form by adding the PHP code to process the information. So to get started, we're going to open up Dreamweaver, and once we have that open, you can see that I have the form that we created last time. You can see all the code here, and this is how it looks in the design view. So we're just going to go over to the code view, and we're going to start by adding our PHP code at the top. So we're just going to go up to the first line. I'm just going to enter a couple times so that we have a block of space here to work with. So since we saved this form or this document as a PHP file, we can use any PHP code anywhere in the document. So I just like to keep it all at the top so that we have an HTML section right here, and then we're going to have our PHP up here. So it keeps it nice and separated and easy to look at. So we're just going to start by creating our PHP open and close tags. So it's going to be a bracket, question mark PHP, and then I'm just going to go down to line 5 and I'm going to do question mark and then a closing bracket. So now anything that we put inside of here will be rendered out as PHP. So the first thing that we're going to do is create an if statement. And so I'm just going to come up here, type if space open parenthesis, and what we're going to do is get a posted value. So I'm just going to scroll down and show you what I'm talking about. And in the last tutorial I said that this hidden input type that we created was pretty important. And the reason that it's important is because we're going to be comparing the ID of parseVar to the value of contact form. So basically, when someone clicks the submit button, it's going to see if parseVar was posted, and if it is, it's going to check for a value of contact form. So what we're going to do is just write that in. So we're going to say if, and then space, and we already have the parenthesis. And we're going to say $post in all caps. We're going to say $_post, and then a bracket, just a regular square bracket, then a single quote, or basically apostrophes, but I'm just going to call them single quotes, and then we're going to type parseVar, which had an underscore in it, and then another single quote, and a closing square bracket, space equals equals, space, and then two quotes, and inside of the quotes we're going to put contact form. So what this is going to do, I'm just going to close these out. So I'm going to put the closing parenthesis and the closing, or an opening curly bracket so that we can do our if statement. And then I'm just going to enter a couple times and do the closing curly bracket so that we can finish that nesting. So basically what this is doing is it's finding out if the posted value of parseVar is equal to contact form. And since it is, then it's going to run through our script and it's going to basically send the email to whoever we tell it to send it to. Also, what I didn't mention when I was typing this was these equals signs. You need to have two in order for it to check so that it's an equal value. So just one equal sign won't work. You need to make sure that you have two in order to check if something's equal to each other. So what we're going to do now is we're going to basically set up our variables. So what we're going to start with are the email and subject variables. So I'm just going to enter. And what we're going to do is, in order to make a variable, you need to have a $sign and then basically some kind of word, something to call the variable. So I'm going to put a $sign and we're just going to call it email title. And we'll make title a capital. I like to take and make the first word lowercase and then the second word capitalized in all of my PHP. So you don't have to do that, but if you can develop a style and remember that, then it's a lot easier when you're trying to remember what you named things later. So I'm going to hit space equals space, and I'm going to do single quotes, two of those, and I'm going to hit a semicolon. And so this is basically going to be what we're going to make the title of the email. So whoever it's sent to, which is probably going to be you if you have this contact form on your website, this is what the email is going to say when you look in your inbox. So we'll just take and say new email from your website. Okay, I'll put an exclamation point. So once we have that, the next thing that we're going to need is your email. So it's going to know where to send this to. So we're going to say, we'll just name it your email, and that'll be easy. So we're going to say your email, and then space equals space, and then a couple of single quotes again, and then a semicolon. And then back inside of the single quotes, you're going to take and put in your email. So I'm just going to put in River City Graphics, and then at yahoo.com. So this is where we're going to make it send the email to. So if somebody comes on rivercitygraphics.com, comes to the contact form, fills it out and sends it, this is where it's going to send it to. Now, right now all this is a variable, but we're actually going to tell it to send it to this address. So the next thing that we need to do is make some basically variables to get the stuff from the form. So as of now, we don't really have anything from the form doing anything except for this if statement. So we're just going to hit enter a couple times. And we need to make 3 different variables. If you remember, we had in the design view, we had our name field, our email field, and our message field. So we're just going to go back to the code view, and we're going to make those out. So I'm just going to call them email field. And then I'm just going to copy this. And we'll just do one, and then we'll copy the whole thing. So I'm just going to do space equals space, and then the same way that we got this parse var with the post is how we're going to get the data from this. So we're going to do $_ post in all caps, and then bracket. I'm just going to do open close brackets, and then 2 single quotes, and then I'm going to put inside email. And so we're going to hit a semicolon at the end. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and paste that out. And what we're going to do is just change email to name. Okay. And we can change email to name over here. And then we're just going to change this bottom one to message. And then we're going to change this bottom one over here to message. And so now it should correspond correctly with our form. So basically what these are doing is it's taking the value that's posted. Now if you remember, for our form we have the method of post. So basically that's how we're going to get the information. So when it's posted, which means that the user clicked the submit button, it's going to run into this PHP because we have it set as the action of the form to run the same file, which is this one. So it's basically looking. We click submit and it looks at this file up here in the PHP for processing it. So then it runs this, then it makes the variables, and what we're doing right here is it's grabbing all the data that we typed into the email field. So anything that the user typed in this email field will now be put into this variable up here that's called email field. So it's grabbing the posted data and it's putting it into the email field. And this email right here corresponds with the ID and name that we created for the field that we created last time. So just make sure that if you're changing names from anything that I'm doing, you have this corresponding so that you are grabbing the email, the posted email. So the next thing that we're going to do is create the body of the email. So right now we have basically their email, their name, and the message. So now we just need to create the body that's going to be sent to me or you, depending on who's the website owner. So I'm just going to enter, and we're just going to keep these names really simple. So I'm just going to do another $, and we're just going to call it body, and then space equals space. And we're going to be using something called EOD. So we're just going to do 3 brackets, 3 of the left brackets, and then a capital EOD. And then this is important right here. You want to make sure that there's no spaces in between the EOD and what we're about to put. So I'm just going to hit an enter, and we're going to take and put a bracket, and then a BR, and then another HR, which is basically a horizontal rule, and I'm going to do another BR. And basically this is just going to help format our email what you actually see. So we're going to have basically a space, a line, and then another space, and then that'll just kind of separate the email, make it a little bit easier to look at. So after that, I'm just going to hit enter, and then we're going to take and put in the email, the name, and the comments. So we're going to be taking and basically using the information that we grabbed from the form, from these posted values, and we're just going to be showing it in the body of the email. So we're just going to put email, and this is actually the text that's going to be showing up. This isn't actual code. This is more like, it's not HTML, but it just shows up whatever you type here. So I'm just going to email, and then we'll take and let's put name, colon, and then we'll say comments, colon. Or we called it message. We'll do that. Okay. And then what we're going to do is basically take these and we're just going to paste them. So we're just going to copy our variables, and we're just going to put a space, email field, name field. And so this makes it really easy. Now, of course, you could take and use all this code down here, but I find it much easier to make variables early on and then use the variable names rather than inputting all this post code and everything later on. So, I mean, you can choose how you want to do that, but that's how I would recommend doing it. So after each of these, right now, basically all of these are crammed onto one line. So what we're going to do is put a break tag after that. So just BR, and then we'll do a space, slash and then a closing bracket. I'll just copy that and we'll put that after each line. And you'll see what this looks like when we actually send an email. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to enter, and then we're going to close the EOD, and we're just going to say capital EOD and then a semicolon. And I'm just going to make sure that this is right up against here. You want to check this. The BR needs to be basically right after that. So you wanted to make sure, I'm just going to push it back because you want to make sure that there's no space in between this and anything that comes after it. So I'm just going to even push it over to that side. Otherwise it won't end up working. So the next thing that we're going to do is send or make the headers for our email, and so the headers are going to be used into the mail function. So I'm just going to make these and then I'll be able to explain it a little bit better. So what we're going to do is do a $, we're going to say headers, okay, and then space equals space, and then we're going to do 2 quotes and a semicolon, and inside the quotes what we're going to do is say from. And this is the from header, so basically in the email you're going to get something that says from, and so we're going to grab the user's email. So remember we had them insert the email, so we want to be able to say that it's from ABC, I don't know, something at Yahoo. So we're basically going to be able to take their email, put it in a variable, and then we're going to be able to tell me or you, whoever's running the website that's got this contact form, who's sending you an email. So we're going to say from and then space, and then we're just going to take that same variable, which is called email field, and we're just going to copy that and paste it in. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of code in order to make sure that it renders correctly. This code is a backslash and then an R and then a slash, backslash again, and then an N, and I'll just make sure that it renders that correctly. So the next thing that we're going to do is make some more headers. So we're going to append to our current header. So we're just going to say headers, which is going to be a new variable of headers. Okay, so it's the same thing, and then a space and then a dot equals, which is an append. So basically, if you have one variable that says cat and then you append dog to it, it's just going to say cat dog, like together. So appending is basically just adding two things together, but it makes it a lot easier for the email function to separate it like this instead of trying to cram it all into one line. So what we're going to do is just hit a space and then 2 quotes and a semicolon. Okay, and then inside of the quotes what we're going to do is set the content type. So we're going to say content dash type. So this is just the little hyphen, and then after that we're going to put a colon, space, text, and then a / HTML, and then a /R /N. And what this line is going to do, now there are different ones online that you can check out. If you want to search HTML or PHP content types, you'll be able to see what each one of them does. Basically what this is going to do is allow you to render HTML in your email. So we didn't really use too much except for these break tags within our email, but say that you wanted to use tables and you wanted to get fancy and use images and all kinds of stuff in your email, it will allow you to actually do that using the HTML. Otherwise you might just have a text content type and then it wouldn't actually show that HTML the right way, it would just show all text. So that's what this content type actually does. So the next thing that we're going to do is basically send the email. So we're just going to make something that's called, how about success? Like it's successfully sending the email. So we're going to go with a $ and success. So space equals space, and then what we're going to do is use the mail function. This is the thing that's going to send the email. Like we've worked all the way up to here, basically checking to make sure that it was clicked. We've set all the variables, we've gathered all the information, and now we're actually going to send the email. So we're going to go with mail, and then open parenthesis, and then close parenthesis, semicolon. And then inside of here, we're going to be pulling in all of the variables that we've been creating all along. So we're going to have, I'm just going to set up the quote system, and then we can continue. So I'm just going to do 2 quotes, comma, space, 2 quotes, comma, space, 2 quotes, comma, space, 2 quotes. Alright, so now we have 4 sets of quotes, and then we have 3 commas. Now in the first set of quotes, what we're going to do is pull in your email. So we want whatever email this is being sent to. So we're going to just copy this variable and paste that in here. Now the next thing that we're going to need is the email title. So we're just going to copy this and paste this in. So basically the mail function, you can look that up on php.net, and basically this is the way that this works. You take and put in where you want it to be sent, what the title is, and then we're going to put in the body, and we're going to put in the headers. So it's a designated series, and it needs to be in that order, otherwise it's going to be confused and it's not going to send it to the correct place. So as I was saying, the next thing that we need to put in the third set of quotes is the body. So we're just going to copy our body variable, paste that into the quotes, and then we have the headers is the last thing. So we're just going to grab the headers, and we're just going to paste that in. Alright, so now we have all of the information in the mail function, and it's going to be sending. So now, if it's made it this far and the mail sends correctly, what we're going to do is take and we're just going to show them something that says, your message has been sent, thanks for sending an email. So we're just going to make another variable, and we'll actually show this in the form. So we're just going to put $sent space equals space, and we'll just put 2 quotes and a semicolon, and inside of the quotes we'll just say, how about thank you, we'll make it capital U, and then your message has been sent. And that way also your users aren't just repeatedly sending you messages because they don't know that it's been sent. This gives them a visual cue that it did what I wanted it to do. Alright, so I think that we should be good. It says that we have a syntax error, but we'll see if I think it should be okay as of now. If it doesn't work, we can come back and check that later. But the first thing that we're going to do is take and we're going to be putting in different areas in the form some PHP code. And so what this is going to do, let me just give you an example here. I'm just going to take and for the text of name, what we're going to do is take and right after size we're going to type value. Okay? And then equals 2 quotes. Alright, inside of the quotes what we're going to put is another PHP block. So an open, basically the same PHP tags we used earlier. So a bracket, question mark, PHP, space, sorry, seem to finish that. We're going to do a question mark, close PHP. And then what we're going to do is make sure that there's a space in the middle of these 2 tags, and we're just going to type print. Okay? And then a space, 2 quotes, and then inside of that what we're going to type is a variable. And so what we're going to call that is name. Okay? So we're going to call that name field. And I'll explain why we're doing this in just a second. And then after the quote we're just going to hit a semicolon. Okay? So basically what we're doing here is taking a variable from our PHP and we're placing it into the form. Okay? So what this is going to do is basically allow us to hold information. So say that you submitted your form and say that you had things to check and see if certain information was entered or if it was a number or if it was not a number, some more technical things than what I'm showing in this tutorial. And in all of that, when you click submit, it refreshed the page. Now say that they did something wrong, they didn't add the correct name or something like that according to your code. Now what that would do is reset the entire form. Their form would be blank, and they would probably be upset that that happened, and they might not continue to fill out the form. And I mean, if that's the form that they're using in order to buy something, you just lost a sale. If they're signing up, you just lost a new member to your website. So what this is going to do is allow it to save the information. So when you click submit, and since we're using the same file to process it, so we're using the same contact form.php to process it, it's going to basically hold that information, so it's going to keep it. So if you click and refresh the page after you click submit, it's going to still have your information there, so you can just make changes to the things that are wrong and then continue on with submitting the form. So you don't have to refill out the whole form. So basically you can take and do this for each of your form fields. So we're just going to copy that, and we can do it for the email. I'm just going to paste that, and we'll say email field. Okay. And then we can take, and for the text area it's a little bit different. In between, you'll see that we have half of the text area here is the first piece of the tag, and then we have the second piece right here. What we're going to do for that one is just take and we'll just grab the PHP part of this, Okay, and we're going to paste that into the text area. And then what we're going to do is just change it to message field. So you don't need all of the value equals for that. We just need the PHP block, is what I like to call it. So just this piece of PHP. Alright, so from there on, let me just make sure, I think everything is correct here. Alright, so the last thing that we can do is just go over here, and what we need to do is still add in that sent piece. If you remember in the PHP, we have this thing that says, thank you, your message has been sent. So it's going to send that to the variable sent, but we don't have that in. So what we're going to do is do the same thing that we did for these areas for the PHP blocks. So we're just going to copy this out, and I'm going to take and go over to the design view, and in this bottom area that we used that we never actually put anything in, I'm just going to click into that, go back over to the code view, and you can see that it just put in basically a paragraph right here, and I'm just going to paste in that code, and we're just going to change the variable to sent. So what that's going to do is when they click submit, it's going to come down here, and it's going to say, thank you, your message has been sent, right in this area right here. So you can actually render out that information. So I think we should be good. I'm going to save this and then upload it to the server, and hopefully we don't have any issues. If we do, we can fix them. So I will be back after I upload that. Alright, welcome back. As you can see, I have uploaded the form to my web server. There were two minor issues that I corrected, and I'm going to go through those right now. Back in Dreamweaver, there was one issue. It said that there was an error, that it hadn't finished the script, basically that it didn't have an end. Basically this EOD right here, the closing EOD tag, had, if I hit tab, this is how it looked before, and so I just hit backspace and everything works correctly now. And then the second thing was just a design issue. If you go over to the design view, you'll see that these fields look like they're aligned to the left of the table. Actually, they were aligned to the center because of the outer table, so I just took and went into the code view and put align left into the column tag for each of those. So if you look at each of those, you can see that I took and put align left in there, so just to push them over to the side. So other than that, everything is working perfectly. So if you go to your form and you type in, say, your name, and actually I'm just going to show you just some default stuff here. If you just type in some gibberish here and then you hit reset, you can see that our reset button is working. And now if you actually put in correct information, and I'll just put in my email right there, and then I'm going to take and type in a message, and I'll just say test for the form and an exclamation point, and then we'll just click submit, and you can see that it has said, thank you, your message has been sent. Now I took and sent a message earlier. Now it usually takes, depending on your web server, mine sends it fairly quick. I usually get emails from my form within probably about 5, maybe 10 minutes. Sometimes if more are sent, it takes longer of when it's actually click submit. So obviously you guys don't want to sit and wait, so I actually sent one earlier. And if you go over to, here's my email, just using Yahoo, you can see this is how the email looks when it comes to me. It says it's from rivercitygraphics at yahoo.com to rivercitygraphics at yahoo.com. So here you can see that your email and the from email, so this is what it actually collected, the from data from the form, and put it right there in our headers. You can see that it has our title that we have there, the new email from your website. And then here's what I was talking about with the BR tag are right here, and then we have the HR, which is the horizontal rule, which basically just makes a line, and that's right here just to kind of separate all this stuff. And then you have what we typed for the body of our email. So we have my email here, my name, and my message. So you can make this as complicated or as simple as you would like it. This should get you started with creating a form. If you are having any issues, I would definitely check the EOD tags. As far as when I was first starting out with contact forms and email functions in general, 95% of the time your problem is right in this area right here with this EOD tag not being backspaced enough. There's being a space somewhere that it shouldn't be. Secondly, just make sure that you have all of your stuff finished off with semicolons and with closing brackets and closing quotes and things like that. And that should at least get you some of the way through troubleshooting if you are having any issues. It's really easy to type something incorrectly, just missing a quote or something, and it throws off everything. So just a little heads up there if you're having any issues. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something in this two-part series. And you can see right here I got the other email already. It sent really fast. Alright, so I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment, and check back next week for another tutorial. Thanks.